Select all expressions that show the distance between point P and Q, and this is similar to your FIAB problem from the number sense number 7. All right, so first we're going to count the distance between those 2 points. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the distance is 13. Let's put a mark on there. And now we're going to find all of the options that give us a value of 13. On part A, that's addition, so you got 13 right there. So A is one of our answers, but we have to select all expressions. All right, the next one, the absolute value of 8 is 8. That's just how far is the number -8 from 0. And then 5 plus 8 equals 13. So showing our work right there, we can see that that is also one of our solutions. For part C, we're going to add these values inside of the absolute value brackets first, and then we're going to use the brackets. So -8 plus 5 is equal to -3 because -8 is bigger, but now we're going to apply the absolute value brackets, and those will just make it into a +3. So C isn't going to work. And 5 plus -8 is just -3, and that's not going to work. So our answers are A and B. All right, enter the value of 5 plus 3/4 plus -3/5 in fraction form. And this is similar to FIAB, the number sense problem number 8. So first of all, we're going to deal with this 5 later. And we're going to deal with our fractions, 3/4 and -3/5. Unfortunately, these are not like fractions because the denominators are not the same. So we're going to find common denominators, all right? So right here, 4 and 5, we're going to count by 4s. So we go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I'm going to stop right there for right now, and let's see if we can find something in common. Count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20. So 20 is in both lists, so that's our common denominator. And we want to make the bottom of the fraction 20. So I am going to multiply 4 times 5 to make it 20 on the bottom, and whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So that's going to be 5 times 3. So it'll give me 15 over 20. And then we're going to add the other one. So what do I multiply times 5 to make it 20? 5 times 4. Whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So that's going to be -3 times 4. And that will give me -3 times 4 is -12. 5 times 4 is 20. So now we have like fractions. And when you add those, the denominator is going to stay the same. So that'll be 20. 15 plus -12 is 3. So now, we're going to combine it all together. Don't forget, we had 5 in the beginning. So we have 5 plus 3/20. And our final answer is 5 3/20. And we are done. All right, it says enter the decimal equivalent of 4/25. So whenever we're able to use place value, that's one of the most convenient things that we can use. Place value, we have the tenths place, we have the hundredths place, and we have the thousandths place, and it will keep on going, but in 7th grade, we tend to just focus up to the thousandths place. So we want to see, can 25 go into one of these place values? Obviously, 10 is too small, so we're not going to go with that, but 25 can fit into 100. We can multiply times 4. So 25 times 4 equals 100, and whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 4 times 4 is 16. So that gives us 16/100ths. And if I want to turn that into a decimal, I'm going to look at the denominator. That's the place value. So right there, it's in the hundredths place. And then to write it in decimal form, the numerator just goes in the spot after the decimal, so I'm going to put 16. And notice that the 6 is the last digit that's in the hundredths place, so we're done. 0.16 is our final answer. Just a quick note, you could also divide. The numerator would go inside the division house, the 25 goes on the outside of the division house, and if you do your division, you should get the same thing. So right there, I did the division, and as you could see, you still are going to get 0.16. All right, Stacy has 5 3/5 cups of rice in a container. She uses 3 1/5 cups of rice to make a dinner. How much rice does Stacy have left in the container? So if we want to know how much she has left, we have to subtract because that's being taken out of the container. So that's subtracting 3 and 1/5. We started with 5 and 3/5. And what makes this convenient is that these are like fractions, has the same denominator, right? So let's deal with the whole numbers first. I have 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 gives me 2. All right, now I'm gonna handle the fractions. So that's gonna be 3/5 minus 1/5, and that's equal to 2/5. So I'm gonna combine those together, and I have 2 and 2/5. That's my final answer. All right, the circumference of a circle is 31.4 inches. Enter the radius of the circle in inches and round your answer to the nearest whole number. All right, so just a little friendly reminder, if we're dealing with place value, this is the ones place, this is the tenths place, this is the hundredths place, and the nearest whole number, that's what we call the ones place, so this is the nearest whole. All right, so we don't have to deal with the anything back here. We're just gonna basically round it to the nearest whole. All right, so guys, remember that there's a linear relationship between diameter and circumference. In this problem, they gave us the circumference value. So if we make a table, you're gonna put the 31.4 on the circumference side. And if we wanna go backwards to find the diameter, we have to divide by our COP, which is pi, 3.14. They didn't tell us what to use, and most likely they won't have a pi button on the calculator app when you're taking the test. So we're just going to use 3.14. And when you divide that, you're going to get a diameter of 10. But they don't want diameter. They want the radius. And if the diameter is 10, the radius is just half of that. You have to divide it by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is going to give me a radius of 5. So the radius would be 5, right? So right there. Radius is 5. It would take 2 of them to get back to your diameter of 10. So your final answer, radius is 5. Okay, Jill buys 2 circular pizzas. How much greater in square inches is the area of the medium pizza than the small pizza? And we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So on this one, again, this is your tenths place. This is your hundredths place. We have to go 2 digits out, meaning we're going to have to look at the digit in back and use that to round to the nearest hundredths place, okay? All right, remember the area of a circle is just pi times radius to the power of 2. Since they don't tell us to use pi, we're gonna use 3.14, and we're gonna multiply that times the radius to the power of 2. Okay, all right, now, they said that the small pizza has an 8-inch diameter, and if the diameter is 8 inches across, then that means that the radius is only going to be 4. So the radius equals 4. And I'm going to say 3.14 times 4 to the power of 2. That means 4 times 4, so that's 16. And 16 times 3.14 gives me 50.24. So that's the area of the small circle. The small pizza. The big pizza has a diameter of 12 inches, so then the radius is 6. So I'm going to do the same thing. Area is equal to, let's use 3.14 times our radius, 6. So it's 6 to the power of 2. That means 6 times 6, so it's going to be 3.14 times 36, and that gives me 113.04. Now, if I want to know how much greater the medium is in the small, then I'm gonna have to find the difference, which means subtract it. So 113.04 minus 50.24, and that gives me 62.8 inches. So that is a ridiculous difference. So they're giving you way more pizza for that medium. All right, so as the figure shown is created by joining 2 right rectangular prisms into the volume of the figure in cubic centimeters. And this is similar to FIAB, angles, area, and volume, problem number 4. So if we slice this three-dimensional shape this way, you can see it's like they added a smaller brick on top of a larger brick. So the larger brick would be on the bottom, the smaller brick would be on the top. All right, so to find the volume, we're going to basically multiply the length times the width times the height. So right there, as you can see, this one is 3 by 4, and the height is going to be, well, it's from the bottom to the top if it's 4 right there, but this is 2, so basically it's going to be 2 right there. To get all the way to a height of 4, you're going to have to add another 2 right there. So basically it's going to be 2 by 4 by 3. So 2 times 4 times 3, and that is equal to 24. So it's 24 cubic centimeters for the small prism. Now for the large rectangular prism, that's going to be a height of 2 centimeters. It's going to have a length of 6 centimeters and a width of 4 centimeters. So again, length times width times height. That's going to be, well, I guess you could say the length is 6. And you could say the width is 4. And the height would be 2. And that's going to give you 48. Now the total area, you're going to want to combine your 24 with your 48. And 72 cubic centimeters. So guys, notice that I'm putting the 3 because it's cubic. So that's cubic means it's to the power of 3. You could also think of it as, because it's a 3D shape and volume is dealing with 3D shapes, we're going to use a 3 right there instead of a 2. Do not put the 3 over the 72. That means 72 to the power of 3, and that is actually not correct. Because that would mean 72 times 72 times 72, and that will give you a totally different answer. All right, moving on. All right, so it says the lines XU and WY intersect at point A. Based on the diagram, determine whether each statement is true. It's like true or false for each statement. And this is similar to FIAB, angles, area, and volume, number 5. Guys, for this one, the best way to do it is just to trace the angles that they're giving us. So for the first statement, it says an angle supplementary to WAU measures 50 degrees. So let's trace it, WAU. And just like how I traced it, you should trace it too. All right, so to be supplementary, it means that it's going to add up to 180 degrees. So this right here is a straight line. That's 180 degrees. If I was to add the missing piece right there, as you can see in the diagram, that missing piece is 50 degrees. So if you add that 50 to WAU, it would make the straight line, making this one true. Okay? All right, moving on to the next one now. Let's use a different color, or I'm going to use a different color so that way you guys can see it better. It says an angle complementary to WAX. So we're going to go ahead and measure that. So it's WAX right there. The A is over here in the corner. I kind of scribbled it out. So WAX, it says an angle complementary to that measures 40 degrees. So here's the thing. If my straight line is 180 degrees, I am splitting it up right there because on your paper you could still see it. There's a 90-degree angle right there. And 90 would have to add up with another 90 right here. Both of those would have to add up to 90 to make 180. And since this angle is 50 degrees, that means that this angle has to be 50 because they're vertical. So the missing piece right here has to be 40 degrees, so it adds up to make 90. So this one right here is also true. It would be complementary to WAX. All right, the last one. It says an angle vertical to angle YAU measures 50 degrees. I'm going to erase what I wrote so far because it's just, we can't see the letters anymore, and then we'll do the last one right here. All right, so angle YAU. It says an angle vertical to angle YAU measures 50 degrees. And that is true because vertical angles are equal in measure. So if this is 50, then the vertical angle right there would also have to be 50. So that one is true. All of these are true, guys. Sometimes it happens, all right? Okay, As long as you, check every single one, check your values, trace over your diagram, you will be able to make those determinations and those decisions, and you should be able to feel confident in your choices if you do that. All right, take care.